Kim, what is our fourth main topic today?
Okay, Anthony Buchanan says, I live in Florida and would have loved to have come and seen this movie, but I can't get off work this time of year. We all know you had the private screening of No Way Home last night. What are your thoughts without spoiling any of the big surprises?
All right. Thanks a lot for writing that in, Anthony. And yesterday was the day. We had a private screening arranged for us, so we got to go and bring a bunch of the viewers of the John Campea Show to come and watch. So thank you to everybody for that. Had a wonderful time with everybody. And of course, don't forget, we are going to be doing our open spoiler discussion on, let me see when we're doing this. So yes, our
Sunday
open spoiler discussion is going to be Sunday at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's Sunday at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That'll be 4 p.m. on the East Coast. So make sure you guys come and join us for that, and we hope we can have a good time. But as for right now, just the general feelings about it. Okay, so here's my overall impression. This is, as a lot of people were saying, I will agree, the best MCU Spider-Man movie yet. I adored Spider-Man Homecoming. I adored that movie. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Far From Home. This is the best of them. I mean, this was a great, not only continuation, but almost in many ways a culmination in those stories. It had great, we heard a lot of the early reactions using the word emotional, but they were right. There's great emotional weight to the movie. The action is it's not the best action I've seen in an MCU film, but really good, fun Spider-Man action that you can look for. The humor, of course, we always know the humor is normally going to be on point with these MCU movies. The humor was definitely on point. The performances were great. The dynamics between both Peter and MJ and Peter and Ned, and really for the first time in any Spider-Man movie, the great chemistry between MJ and Ned. You know, that's usually like the forgotten kind of connection as well. That worked great. Alfred Molina has not missed a beat.
This guy.
Like Alfred Molina, it literally feels like to me like he just played Doc Ock yesterday. He walked back, the same thing with Willem Dafoe, the same thing with Jamie Foxx. It just feels like these guys just played these roles yesterday and just walked back onto set and picked up where they left off yesterday. I swear it felt not nostalgic because the characters were there, but it felt like a nostalgia of, I just saw this yesterday. That's what it felt like to me. Like I just saw this guy playing this yesterday. It felt so true to the original versions of those characters that I was so impressed by it. I will say, and I'm not going to go into details, we'll talk about it on Sunday. The more I thought about it last night, there are two major logic holes in this movie. Like there are two major plot problems with this movie. Granted, but if you look hard enough, you can find those in most movies. But there are two that really stood out to me that I ended up sitting up thinking about a lot last night. But we'll talk about those in the main thing. Look, the bottom line is this. This movie's great. It is going to be a fan pleaser. John Watts, in my opinion, is 3 for 3. You know, they lined up 3 Spider-Man movies in front of him. He knocked them all down. I'm so now looking forward to seeing what he does with Fantastic Four. Like, watching this has just made me excited for whatever is going to happen with Spider-Man next, whether it's in Sony or in Marvel, whatever. But I'm really excited about what's going to happen in Fantastic Four now that we've seen Homecoming wasn't just a one-hit wonder. He wasn't just getting lucky with 2 with Spider-Man Far From Home. He's had 3 movies now, and he's knocked them all out of the park. So I cannot wait to see what he does. Is this the best Spider-Man movie? No. No, it's, to me, that it's not the best Spider-Man movie. I would say this is the third, out of the 9 Spider-Man movies we've had, I'd say this is the third best. I'd still put it behind both Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but easily the best of the MCU. Easily the best one they've done in the MCU. This is a crowd pleaser. It's got solid narrative, wonderful performances, great chemistry between the performers, and more emotion than we've ever seen in any Spider-Man movie before. And because of that, this movie is a winner, and I had a great time with it. Kim, you saw it with us yesterday. What were your general impressions of the film?
Bro. Well, after I got off the phone with my therapist, it was epic and emotional. It delivers on the hype. I'm trying to be careful with my words because I don't want to spoil anything because I want you guys to experience this all for the first time. There were clever tie-ins to the big surprises. The humor is very appropriately placed because it's such an emotional movie. It's definitely not one of those situations where it's something emotional and then someone makes a comment and you're like, well, that was a weird time to say that. The timing and the pacing of this movie I felt was really good. It did not feel like 2 hours and 30 something minutes at all. I was like, this is just flying by. This isn't a spoiler at all because he's in the trailer, but Willem Dafoe, dude, don't call it a comeback.
Oh, yeah.
Don't call it a comeback. This guy has always been amazing, and he killed it. He killed it as Green Goblin. Homecoming still is my favorite in the Home trilogy, and I feel like I can't really compare it to all the other Spider-Man because, as my nephew says, this one's built different. It's kind of apples to oranges. Because it just feels so different than all the other Spider-Man movies. I feel like it's in a category of its own. So I can't even rank it. I'm like, oh, which Spider-Man movie? It's just separately, it's a fantastic film. And I hope you guys have so much fun. And I also want to say thank you to the fans. You guys, everyone that we met, you guys are just so wonderful. And this community is awesome. But it's a great movie. Please don't spoil it if you've already seen it. But yeah, that's my take.
And by the way, I just want to say this too, like for all the fan theories that were out there and all that kind of stuff, you may think because you heard of all the theories and all the stuff and all the talk about what may or may not be in the film, you know what? It didn't matter. At the end of the day, it didn't matter.
It did.
Like everybody had the movie is just good. Remember, I've been saying whether this expectation happens or doesn't happen or whatever, at the end of the day, it won't matter. If it's a good movie, it's a good movie. It's not, it's not. This is a real good movie. And you know, there's one person in here, Spider-Man is their favorite character. And I was really curious to see what Ray was going to think about this. And I'll just tell you right now, I was sitting 2 chairs over from Ray. There was me, then Ann was beside me, and Ray was beside Ann. And listening to Ann and Ray going off so much, particularly, I'm not going to say which scene, but there is one scene in the movie where Ann and Ray were laughing their damn heads off when
hard.
Nobody else knew what was going on. And once you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. But there was a scene where Ann and Ray are just like laughing their heads up and nobody else understood what was going on. You'll see what I mean when that happens. Anyway, Ray, I haven't actually just straight up asked you, even when we were in the car last night coming home, I didn't actually straight up ask you, what, as the big guy looking forward to this, how did you feel about Spider-Man No Way Home?
Now, you know, I'm not that, well-spoken for, but I'm going to tell you the truth that this is probably my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. And
really?
It's not just coming off of it, whatever. It gave me every reason of why this has been my favorite character since I was a kid. And will probably be my favorite character until the day that I die. There's so much that I can relate to. You know, Spider-Man has this, the suit, the webs, the flipping around, those super abilities. But, I feel like I can relate to that because I've been given the super ability of, having a life and having a brain and having hands and legs. Those are my weapons. And you see him use these abilities to, to try to make the right choices, which I do too. You know what I mean? And a lot of it has to do with family. And even if he has to make tough decisions that doesn't benefit him at all, I can relate to that. Trying to juggle certain things, and he makes mistakes. He wants to do good, but he doesn't like to get attention for it. You know what I mean? So this has probably the best Spider-Man movie that I've ever seen.
You know what's funny? Stan Lee, when Stan Lee was asked about Spider-Man, he would often say he created Spider-Man because he wanted a character that his readers could identify with more. Like that this is a character who's kind of one of them, right? And when you're watching Spider-Man No Way Home, Ray, you brought up a really good point about how this is a Peter who makes mistakes. They never lose. Like even when you go back to Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Peter does some really dumb things.
He's not bulletproof either.
Yeah, the movie reminds us he's a kid.
He's a kid, man.
He's a high school kid. Because you go back to Far From Home, like what he was doing with the Stark glasses, like using it for like trying to dig into people's social media and all that kind of, like he was making the mistakes a kid would make. And that actually made him more, like Stan Lee always said, I wanted Peter to be relatable with people. So he's making brave, courageous decisions. He also makes some pretty dumb mistakes at the same time, because there are mistakes a high school kid would make. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what powers he has. It doesn't matter how morally centered he is. He's still a high school kid. And he's going to make mistakes. And I thought that was a real strength of the movie as well. Again, just a big win. Now, I'm going to say this, because I've had a lot of people write to me about this. And this is kind of a side note. I had talked before. You guys know, a bunch of you, some of you might not know. I had been sent a bunch of images, right? That I initially didn't think was legitimate. And I shared a couple, and then I got notified that somebody got a hold of me within 5 minutes saying these things might be real. So I didn't post the other ones. I had other ones that I didn't post. And,
I want to see those now.
And I'll show it to you.
Okay, cool.
I'll show it to you, because I've showed it to Rob. So there, and I told you guys, there's another picture that I didn't share. And all I said was there's somebody in a mocap suit.
Oh, yeah.
And you're never going to guess it. I said there's somebody in a mocap suit and you're never going to guess it.
That's right.
So I was watching the movie and I'm like, it never came.
Okay.
And Rob and I, after the movie were done, we're like, because I've shown it to Rob. And we're like, you know what this means?
Oh, no.
Whoever sent me that is not just on the set, was not just on the set of this movie. They're on the set of other MCU projects. Because Rob and I looked at each other after the movie and were like, that means that picture was from something else that hasn't come out yet.
Oh, shoot.
And we were like, oh my God, that picture wasn't from Spider-Man. It was from blank. And so Rob and I are standing outside of the theater yesterday, kind of geeking out a little bit. We're like, that means that picture is this. So no.
Oh my gosh.
No.
So Matthew McConaughey will be in something else very soon. That's good to know.
Somebody in a motion cap suit is in another movie.
I want to make it clear that I haven't seen this picture,
Ray has not seen it either.
nor have I asked for it. So,
but we will see it.
Don't ask me in the chat, please.
Yeah, don't ask Ray, because Ray doesn't know the answer to this. The only person I've shown to is Rob, because Rob and I had gotten together one time, and I showed him the picture, and that's it. He's the only other person who's seen it. But yeah. I mean, I just got totally freaking excited because it's like, oh my God, that wasn't even the movie. That means it was from blank. And so
I was brushing my teeth this morning and I was like, so much to talk about with Spider-Man. Oh, don't forget to ask John, who was it in the mocap suit that he said we would never guess?
Oh yeah. No.
That's so interesting that
And you know what's funny? When I got told that maybe the first picture or two that I put up might be real, I was literally about 30 seconds away from posting the other one too. Like, I was literally about 30 seconds away from posting the other one.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I found out, somebody got a hold of me and said those things might actually be real, I thought, well, then I better not post this other one. So I didn't post the other one. But now it's like, oh my God. So yeah, that's the thing on that. But yeah, overall, a great experience. The movie was fun and wonderful. And it was everything a Spider-Man movie should be. And there are scenes that are just, some of my favorite scenes in this movie are just conversation scenes where there's a couple of characters standing around having like a 1.5 minute conversation. And I'm just like delighting in it. Like, it's just wonderfully set up, wonderfully done. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see where things go. Several theories were correct. Several theories were not. And that's the best. When you go into a movie, you find out a bunch of your theories are right and a bunch of your theories are wrong.
You guys, I'll let you know right now, Matthew McConaughey is front and center. You're going to be so excited
it was
to see
crazy when Matthew McConaughey
wasn't that crazy, John?
Came through a portal and Uncle Ben says, I'm back. All right.
Driving that Lincoln.
And he did. He said, all right.
Driving the Lincoln.
He was driving a Lincoln. He was taking his time, gave us a nice haiku in the Lincoln. So,
says, all right, where's my May?
That's a spoiler I'll give you guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big one.
John, I'm saying, like, this is like Endgame. Like, I feel like I need to take a break from Marvel after this movie, just like Endgame. For some reason,
I remember you saying that after Endgame. I got to take a break from Marvel.
But there's so much emotion that I have to, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it too seriously, but I have to, like, think about, like, I have to let this soak in a little bit. Because to others, like what it means after is small, but to me, it's like big. It's a big deal, and that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just great.
One last thing. My mom's not really too much into like the comic book movies and stuff. And someone was saying the other day, this is the kind of movie that you're going to want other people to see.
Yes.
And I told my mom last night, I was like, I know you don't usually like these. You have to see this movie. People who aren't necessarily Spider-Man fans or Marvel fans, they're going to like this just as a film. That's why the critics were raving about it, is because just as a film, it's really, really good, even if you're not caught up in, you know, the lore and what's canon and what's not and who's this character and how are they connected. You're really just going to like it as a movie, and you're going to want the people that you love to see it.
Yeah, and that this is one of those films where you're going to come out not just wanting to see it again, you're going to be thinking about people that you want to bring to see this movie. That's always a good time at the movies. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Have you, like $50 million worth of other people across North America, have you had a chance to see Spider-Man No Way Home already? If so, what did you think about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts.